Alright YouTube, so we are back of course to talk about some Final Fantasy VII. So obviously several hours ago we had the 25th anniversary live stream, the also slash First Soldier live stream. Comes to First Soldier stuff, that's not what this channel's about. I'm not giving you any updates on that game because I don't even know what there is out there, what they even talked about in the live stream. I kind of went to the Twitter account, there doesn't seem to be anything like major revealed. Could be wrong there. Which I find to be a little bit weird since that was like a big part of this live stream. Other than the 25th anniversary, it was also about First Soldier. And I feel like if they announced something big, you'd see it on the Twitter feed. I could be wrong there. You guys can let me know. Did they not announce new content, like the roadmap for 2022, a new season or anything? Was anything revealed for that game besides the Dragoon class? I know the image quality is kind of ass right here, but it's just an image I grabbed off Twitter really quickly. But people were kind of memeing this because it looks ridiculous at first because it says Final Fantasy VII The First Soldier and it's doing a crossover with Final Fantasy VII. That didn't at first doesn't make a lot of sense until you actually look into it. And what they're doing is like an actual crossover with the original Final Fantasy VII, where they have these polygon characters in the game. Now, what I'm not sure of is if these are character skins that you can maybe buy at some point, or if these are just like random encounters like in the game, like kind of like the creatures that you fight. I know you could fight like a shadow version of Cloud or something at one point in the game. Either way, I absolutely love this. I think it's fun. I think it's quirky. It's a little bit weird. I wish it's something they do with Remake. I know people have been talking about that for a long time, but I wish we had the polygon versions of our characters within Remake, like make a DLC package, I'll give you the money, I don't give a shit. I'd love to play through the game like this. It's not even unheard of. We actually seen this with Resident Evil 2 Remake and maybe even the 3 Remake, where you could buy like the polygon versions of your characters, which looks ridiculous with the HD backdrop, but that's the point. I'm talking way more about First Soldier than I even remotely planned. A question I have, I guess, is since we didn't see anything on like the English Twitter account, does, like, Japan get content first? Like, does shit not drop globally for First Soldier? That's a question I have for you guys. I'm sure you can answer. Because maybe that's why we're not seeing stuff on the English Twitter account. Maybe this shit's coming to the Japanese version of the game first. Anyways, on to the juicier bits and debatably more important parts of this video, why you guys are here. In terms of the 25th anniversary live stream, I've seen a lot of people upset that we didn't get anything for Ever Crisis or Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2. And both of those are actually completely untrue. Now, I'm not saying we got anything super major. We didn't get a trailer or anything. But Kitase definitely discussed Part 2 briefly. And we actually got like an opening movie for Ever Crisis, or like a trailer, whatever you want to call it. I personally didn't catch the live stream. I set an alarm for like 3:30 and 4 a.m. And I woke up at 4:55 without an alarm. And the live stream was pretty much done. It's still going on, but it's probably wrapping up by that point. I see people upset on Twitter, and then right after that, I started seeing like the Ever Crisis trailer, and then these quotes coming from Kitase about wanting to talk about Part 2 sometime this year potentially. And it's like, what are people upset about exactly? Like, if you were expecting more than that from this event, you're either setting your expectations too high, or you ain't been in this community that long. So here's a translation from Kitase that says, "We're hard at work on Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, so please look forward to that. In addition, with regards to the long-awaited Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2, there will be more information this year if we can." They further go on to say, asked if he was sure the sequel would be revealed this year, Kitase replied, "Well, yeah, we just started the 25th anniversary of Final Fantasy VII, so we want to celebrate and get fans excited, so within the next 12 months we want to share some information, look forward to more information." So again, I gotta ask, what were people upset about? Because this is like objectively the biggest info we've had for Part 2. They want to talk about it this year, reveal it this year, which means trailers and shit. And if they're talking about it this year, that means almost definitely that the game would be coming out next year, 2023. How is this not big? How are people underwhelmed by this? In the past almost 2 years, they haven't even given us a sliver or a hint or anything about when they want to talk about or reveal Part 2. Like, again, this is the biggest info we've had so far for the game. And of course, he does say that if they can talk about it, so it's not like 100% guarantee, but they do want to talk about it because it's the 25th anniversary, and also 12 months is a long time, so anywhere from now until January of next year, they could talk about the game. But unless they're super far behind, I don't see why they couldn't talk about it at some point this year, because they've been in some form of development on Part 2 since like summer or fall of 2019, so we're going on like almost like, what, 3 years? Like, the game's been in development for quite a while, so they should have something to talk about or show this year, I would think. As for Ever Crisis, we got this video that's being referred to as the opening movie for the game. It clearly has characters from First Soldier. As of right now, I'm not sure if there's an English version out there or a version that has subtitles. Like this version that was uploaded by Gamatsu is just the Japanese dialogue, so I don't know what's being said here. It's kind of lengthy though, it's like almost a full minute, and the fact that it's being referred to as the opening movie for the game, does that mean that whenever Ever Crisis drops, like it's going to be just about the First Soldier first, or can we do multiple games under the FF7 compilation? Are we not going to have the Mako Reactor 1 bombing mission, or what? I don't understand, it's a little confusing. I mean, I expected First Soldier related stuff, but like kind of not yet, even though it's technically the like one of the earliest things in the timeline. Like you'd think they'd start with like the Final Fantasy VII related stuff to get the players in there. And I actually really like this ending shot here because of all the orange in the sky. I thought they were flying over like the wasteland around Midgar, but as you see, they're actually flying over some water, and I don't know if maybe Midgar's in front of them somewhere or off camera somewhere. But the fact they're flying over water, this is kind of our first look at the kind of the broader world of Gaia that we haven't really seen yet with Remake, because obviously we've been in Midgar the whole time. The obvious other interesting thing about the cinematic movie is that we're getting these with Ever Crisis, because so far we've seen with the first trailer is that, for one, it's like a chibi kind of cartoony art style, but then like the gameplay when you're in combat looks like Remake, but then now there's also actually full-on cinematic cutscenes, so there's like 3 different like styles are going with Ever Crisis. It's kind of weird. Kind of cool, but kind of weird. And Nomura has said that they do have a story planned within Ever Crisis for First Soldier, which is obvious because we're watching the damn cinematic in the background, but we also got the name of one of these characters, the female character. Audrey put out a tweet earlier that says, Nomura says that while they don't have news for FF7R, he says he can say that in Ever Crisis, they have a story planned regarding the 3 characters you see from the FF7 The First Soldier trailer. The girl's name is Luthia. Which is a bit interesting because I know at some point during development for First Soldier, I don't remember what they said verbatim, but it was something along the lines of like the characters you're seeing in the cinematics not really mattering or having names or whatever the case, something like that. But here we're seeing the exact opposite of that. But again, this shit is great. Something I've said, a few times recently is I'm really looking forward to Ever Crisis, and this is another thing because I'm not really into First Soldier. Plus, I believe that game doesn't really offer as much lore as we were kind of expecting. We knew it wouldn't be much, but I don't think there's a whole lot at all. Whereas Ever Crisis can tell us the story of like things that take place during First Soldier, but it'll actually be all stories, so that's pretty exciting. Learning like the early days of Soldier and shit. Some of the smaller stuff that we got from this like 25th anniversary, for one, we got this like Kingdom Hearts recreated version of that key art we got for Remake like some years ago at this point. They actually did something similar 5 years ago with the 20th anniversary using Kingdom Hearts to like recreate the iconic cover for Final Fantasy VII. We also got this pretty badass 25th anniversary logo for Final Fantasy VII, but again, I gotta kind of, not complain, but set things straight, because people are blowing this way out of proportion because it has Zack in it. Like, I've already seen people on social media like, oh my god, Zack's in the logo, that's gotta mean something, he can't be there for no reason, he's gonna be a huge part of the story going forward, and it's like, for starters, you don't need the logo to tell you that. We already seen him at the end of Remake. We already seen him at the end of episode intermission. But also, he's a part of like the 10th anniversary logo. But you also don't need a logo to tell you that Zack's a big part of the Final Fantasy VII story. It's all kind of weird. He's actually also on the cover of the 10th anniversary of the Ultimania. So again, they've always represented Zack very well when it comes to Final Fantasy VII. Probably since like Crisis Core and beyond. I'm not trying to be like a downer here, but it seems like over the past 12 hours, people are either upset or excited for kind of the wrong reasons. I always like seeing more of my boy Zack, but him being a part of that logo just doesn't really mean anything. My dudes, I think that's kind of everything that's worth talking about right now, at least that I'm aware of. I do want to see an English version of the Ever Crisis like trailer movie thing, just to kind of see what they're saying. Also, where's the release date? Like, how do we not have that yet? Or release window? Can they not just say summer 2022, fall 2022? Like, what are we doing exactly? And then also the fact that we have confirmation from Kitase that they want to talk about Part 2 this year. That's obviously the biggest thing here. In terms of that specifically, I wouldn't expect anything in like the kind of near future. Like realistically, if they're going to talk about the game, it probably won't be till like summer or fall. That's just a guess though. But my dudes, that's going to be the video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you guys aren't interested in more Final Fantasy VII content. Turn on notifications. Follow me on Twitter, @DavidYT. I'm my Discord. Links to social networks are in the description and in the outro. Later, guys.
Used to care what people thought, but now I care more, and nobody out here's got it figured out. So therefore, I've lost all hope of a happy ending, depending on whether or not it's worth it. So insecure, no one's perfect. We spend it with no shame. We blow that like Coltrane. We in here like Rogaine, or leave it like Cobain.